dropped into one of the most isolated stretches of tundra in northern Finland. The mission was classified as a population recovery experiment. The foxes had been bred in captivity for years. This was their chance at freedom. But what the researchers didn't know was that the tundra they chose wasn't empty. It had been used decades earlier for something else. 3 months after the drop, a research team returned on snowmobiles to check on the foxes. They expected to find tracks, dens, maybe a few carcasses. What they found instead was something buried under 2 feet of snow, something the foxes had dug up, something that had been hidden since 1969. And when the lead researcher radioed back to base, his voice was shaking, because what was under that snow wasn't supposed to exist anymore. It had been erased from every map, removed from every official record, but the foxes found it anyway. To understand what the foxes uncovered, you have to go back to 1969, the height of the Cold War. Finland wasn't part of NATO, but it shared an 800-mile border with the Soviet Union, and that made it nervous. In the late 1960s, the Finnish military began constructing a network of underground listening posts across the northern frontier. These weren't marked on any civilian maps. They were designed to monitor Soviet radio traffic, track troop movements, and in some cases store equipment that couldn't be explained if discovered. One of these posts was built in the Käsivarri Wilderness, a barren stretch of tundra so remote that even the Sami reindeer herders avoided it in winter. The station operated for less than 3 years. Then in 1972, as tensions eased, it was quietly decommissioned. The entrance was sealed with concrete, the antennas were dismantled, and according to declassified documents, all sensitive materials were removed. But they weren't. When the research team reached the coordinates in March 1991, they found a trail of disturbed snow. Fox tracks led directly to a collapsed
Look at this, they signed for the whole inventory.
The foxes had been digging, not for food, not for
But
shelter.
these lines are blacked out. What are they hiding?
The frozen ground and exposed a concrete
They found
patch,
something.
rusted,
Look at the
partially
size of that
open,
hole.
and underneath it a steel ladder descending into darkness. The team leader, a biologist named Mikko Järvinen, climbed down first. His headlamp swept across the walls, and that's when he saw them, rows of metal canisters, still sealed, each one stenciled with a red symbol, a symbol that hadn't been used by the Finnish military in over 20 years. Järvinen recognized the symbol immediately. It was a radiation warning, but not the modern trefoil design. This was older, a Finnish military marking used only between 1967 and 1971. Backed up the ladder and radioed the research station. Within 6 hours, a military containment team arrived by helicopter. They descended into the bunker wearing full hazmat suits. What they found inside was worse than anyone expected. 14 canisters, each one containing cobalt-60 pellets, a radioactive isotope used in Cold War-era surveillance equipment. The canisters had been stored there since 1970, forgotten, left behind when the station was decommissioned, and now, after 20 years underground, 3 of them had begun to leak. The foxes had been denning directly above the bunker for weeks. Their fur tested positive for low-level contamination. So did the snow. So did the soil for nearly 40 meters in every direction. But here's the part that still haunts researchers. The foxes weren't sick. They weren't dying. In fact, the population had grown. By the time the site was sealed off in May 1991, scientists had counted 73 foxes in the area, 21 more than had been released, which meant they had bred successfully in one of the most contaminated zones in Scandinavia. The Finnish government classified the incident. The bunker was filled with concrete. The foxes were relocated again, this time to a clean zone near the Norwegian border, and the Käsivarri site was quietly added to a restricted list. No public access, no camping, no research without military clearance. To this day, the area remains off limits, but some of the foxes stayed. Locals near Käsivarri still report sighting, white shapes moving through the snow, always at dusk, always near the old coordinates. And if you ever find yourself in northern Finland, near the edge of the wilderness, and you see fox tracks leading toward a patch of barren ground where nothing grows, don't follow them.